let's turn our attention now to getting this single album view to work. So what I've done so far is I've set things up based on the second mock so that we can see the dummy data for a single album just displaying here in the space where we did have the albums list displaying. So the way I've done that in the code, as you can see, I've brought in this this single album component, which is receiving this.state.selected album. I've called it as a prop, and you can see that I've commented out the albums list. So I could bring this back in, and we'd be able to see what that would do if we have both albums list and single album. If I do that, then we're still going to have our albums list the way that we had before, and it's just going to be sort of stacked on top of our single album. But that's not what we want. What we want is when we click one of these album covers, the albums list should go away, and instead we should only see the single album, the one that we selected. So let's go ahead and put it away. So for now, I've just got some dummy data. So the way I've set that up is I've added a new field in my state called selected album, and I've just set it equal to this dummy album, this just a bunch of data that I've put into a variable right here. So we can see that I've made that look like I've got the album's name, its artwork URL, and I've also got the artist and the songs array, just containing this one song. So it looks a lot like the data that we want to get. And our goal here is not to have dummy data, but it's to actually go ahead and get the album from our server. For example, we can see that if we go to /API/album/1, this is going to give us the actual data from our database, like our album with its artist and with its songs. So what we might think here is that when we click one of these album covers, what we want to do is we want to use Ajax to make a request to our server to get that album's data, and then we can set it on state. So let's go ahead and let's kick off the process for doing that. Actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and let's take a little bit of a closer look at the single album component. So I've just put that together based on the mockup. So you can see here is I've got the single album component, and it's expecting the album as props, and we've got this songs component right here, which is taking in the songs and the artist, and we've also got the album component. Here we've been able to reuse it, because if we look at our list of albums, we have a list of album components here, and what we want to display right here, it's essentially the same thing. So we can go ahead and we can just reuse that same component. The only thing it needs to work so far is it just needs this album as a prop. So we just pass it in, and we're able to reuse that component. Right here, we've also got our songs component, which takes in the songs and the artist. Let's go ahead and take a look at that really quick. And here we can see we got our table with the first row right here being the header with the name, the artist, and the genre. And then we map over each of the songs.